let's go over your charts that you so well filled out. So here we got my sliced up guy here. And I'm going to start and pretend I'm a sperm and go through the chart. So we're going to start with the testes. What did you write down as a function of a testis? Alright, sperm factory. Making sperm, spermatogenic site. Pick a word that you'll remember. And what else does it make besides sperm?
Testosterone.
Male hormone or testosterone. If you look at the name, testosterone is because it's from your testes, where you testify. Alright. So it makes sperm and... You didn't know that? Oh, worthless trivia at a party. In ancient Greece, you put your hand in your scrotum and pledge your testes when you testify, meaning that you would... The idea was that was going to be truthful. You pledge your nodes. Yes?
Now it's the Bible.
Yes. You're risking your family. Yes. Okay. Worthless trivia. So, were they inside or outside, Smarties? The answer you want to give is internal. They're inside. So there's a quick and dirty method, which is you can't put your hand on them. You can touch the scrotum, but you can't touch the testes. So that's the quick and dirty answer. There is a longer, more scientific answer, which I'll show you here. So here you are as a baby. If you look carefully, your testis, there's one, was somewhere way up someplace by your kidney. And then, what do your testes do near birth? They descend or drop, people would say. So here it comes. And then eventually it's somewhere out there. But if you look carefully, this membrane is from your abdomen. Right there. So your testes are still in your abdomen. Just your abdomen now hangs outside your body. But it's still inside. But if you think about that, what's that thing men get because of that system? A hernia. Because now there's a hole in my abdomen where my testes drop. My testes are still in the abdomen, and so my intestines want to come out there too. Right? But technically they're still internal. Yes.
So where does the hair occur for a hernia?
It depends on the type. But basically what happens is right here, the inguinal canal, there's a little sheet there. And what will happen if you strain, the intestines will want to, that will break. The intestines will either want to go down in, or your colon will, or something will. And then, depending on how they go in, it's either a straight hernia or strangulated, means they twist as they come down. But basically, you pop a hole right here, and then everything wants to come down in your testes and join them. So, that's a hernia. Yes?
So that's the idea behind the doctor saying cough?
Yes. The coughy thing is how well, if you push there and cough, that should hold. Right, so they're pushing, and then nothing. If thing wants to break through, that means it's weak.
So what does it feel like if it is, during that?
Personally, I don't know.
What are they gonna feel differently when they
I
hear
don't
that?
know. I'm not trained.
Probably feel something pressing a little.
Pressing?
I would assume some kind of pressure difference. But
Women can get hernias too, right?
Yeah, but it's usually in the
It's
abdominal
different.
wall.
right, that's because the uterus prolapse. You don't have an inguinal canal like that. So you can get the same kind of thing, but not for the same reason. You don't have a tunnel like that. So, quick answer, your testes are inside because you can't touch them. Longer answer, they're still inside the body. Just the body now sticks out. Either way, you're going to get internal. Right? And that's your descension. Yes?
Why the testes drop?
We'll do that today. It's because you started out with ovaries. And because they're ovaries are by your uterus. So when you start, you're a girl. And then you got to descend if you're a boy.
It's because the sperm cancer they get it too high.
Correct. Let's do epididymis. That little thing on top of the testes. Since you didn't know why testes are called that, you're not going to get... Anyone know from medical terminology epididymis? Above the... Didymis, Thomas, Didymus, the twin. Those are your twins. Epididymis on top of your twins. You'll never forget it. Right? But... ignoring the worthless trivia, what's their job? Okay, sperm school. They go to learn. They also sperm storage.
Would that be legit on a test?
It would be legit on a test. Yes. Salad, if you read Saladin, it goes a site of sperm maturation and functional maturity, right?
Wow.
They're learning how to be sperm. They don't sit there with chalkboards, right? But you get the gist. So they're maturing, they're growing, they're being sperm, and you store them there. Is an epididymis inside or outside? It's inside. Same as a testis, it's on top of the testis, therefore it's inside. Okay, let's go down to scrotum. Job. Doesn't protect them at all, damn it.
It holds them outside the body, maintains temperature.
Right.
Correct.
Temperature regulation. The cold shower effect. So with this trivia, sperm have to be cooler than the body. So hence they hang outside the body to be cooler than your temperature. So the scrotum's job is to keep them the right temperature. So in a summer day, they drop down, cold shower, they pull up. So its job is to regulate the temperature. Is the scrotum inside or outside? Because they're external, that's a ball of skin. Right? So external. All right, so now for the next one, vas deferens, or ductus deferens, you can say it either way. Sperm tool, right? Sperm highway, sperm tube. I'll change my color here again. The vas deferens. All right, so sperm highway. I can't spell it. It's the I-5 for sperm. Sperm tube, however you want to phrase it. Carries sperm from here to there. So first of all, let's figure out, is it inside or outside? Inside. That's an inside tube. All right. Just so you understand when you get to lab, this diagram is going to throw you for a loop because every student I've talked with this diagram says, oh look, the vas deferens somehow magically goes like into your bladder. See it up there? No, it doesn't go through your bladder. The way they draw these pictures is they're trying to represent that it goes around the bladder, but they do this weird job of doing that. So the real picture, the better picture, looks kind of like this. They come up and they go around the back of the bladder. So you have two vas deferens, one from each side, and they go around the back of the bladder. So they're not in the bladder, like that shows. They're around it. Does that make sense? So it sometimes throws people off. They look at the picture like, why is it going through your bladder? It's not. It's going around the bladder. Right? By the way, what do you call that thing doctors do when they cut that tube?
Vasectomy.
Vasectomy, you're cutting the highway, right? So sperm can't go anywhere. So a vasectomy. What comes after my vasectomy? We're going to go to my seminal vesicles. Makes fluid. Very good. There are these things behind your bladder. They make fluid. And we're going to talk later about the fluids in particular. But for right now, you're going to say makes fluids. So, are seminal vesicles inside or outside? Inside. They're inside. Very good. What comes after my seminal vesicle? Prostate gland. Prostate makes you prostrate. All right. So right down here, here it is. So, give me a job.
Activates the
Alright. So we can say makes fluid, that's perfectly good, and we'll talk about what the fluid does, which is activation. But makes more fluid, gives men
It's a
cancer.
buffer fluid too, right?
Buffer fluid as well. Is it inside or outside? It's inside. Right there.
So makes fluid is all we need for that?
Yep, for right now. We'll add the second question down and we add about it. Then our next one, we have this little guy right here who changed names. Used to be called cowpers. Now it's bulbourethral. Because it's by the bulb in your urethra. Makes sense, I guess. You can say cowpers, it's fine. What does it do? Take a guess. Makes fluid. We think, for some men, sometimes. Right.
Is it the free con?
Yes, it is. He's right. Although what's interesting, only 30% of men do that. Interesting. So it's this variable thing they don't know about. So, is it inside or outside? Inside. Very good. That leads us to our last couple organs. What's on the chart? I don't have it in front of me.
Penis.
Oh, how could I forget that? Now. Let's do a penis. Give me a job of a penis. Besides a hobby. Delivery, copulation. Sure. Full-time job. I love that. Pick a word, right? I know you all know what penis is. Is it inside or outside? Outside, otherwise what's the point, right? Then we have the corpora spongiosum.
What does copulation mean?
Having sex. Or you can do saladin. If you're a saladin, we'll hit you with coitus. Or coitus, yes. You're really formal when you say the I. That dates you. Okay, so we got those corpora guys. What are they for? Erection tissue, erectile tissues. Ooh, all right. We'll talk more about your erection in a minute. So are they inside or outside? They're considered external, although you can't touch them. They are part of the penis, and the penis is external. So that's kind of by default. Bring the ship back. All right, so while we're here, Bridget, is that your phone?
Nope.
Whose phone is that? Someone's calling. Phoenix, it's your phone. Your phone. All right. Let's talk a little bit more, though, about these organs in order. So we're going to zip up to this picture. We're going to add some detail before we do the questions. All right, so this is showing, I don't understand why there's a drip there. I don't get that, right? I didn't draw this. This is showing the testis. Here's my epididymis, my thing on top of the twin. Here's my vas deferens. If you look carefully, we're slicing open a testis. What do you see in there in dark black?
Sperm.
It's my sperm cells. So we'll focus a little bit on making sperm.
Are those the germ cells? Or those the first degree?
All that's true, yes.
Okay.
So depending on where you are. So we're going to go through the steps of spermatogenesis. The PCC says you learned that in 112, but forgot it.
I wanted to
Yes.
confirm something.
Yes.
So the erectile tissue is external?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Formally, you can't touch it, but it's inside the penis. So you can.
Okay.
So we're going to walk through the steps of making sperm in my testes. We'll add some detail. Spermatogenesis. Genesis, making, remember that from metabolism, sperm. This is in the testes, right? In the seminiferous tubule. Here's a big word for lab. Seminiferous tubule. That's a tube in your testes. Your testes contain little tubes called seminiferous tubules, like a nephron kidney concept. So testes contain tubes. And these are the seminiferous tubules where we're going to make the sperm. To get your bearings real fast, I'll go back a picture. Actually, forward a picture, sorry. So if you look here in this weird dripping testis here, these little squiggles represent the seminiferous tubules. So your testis has a lot of these little tubes. This is showing one tubule up close. Right? So the tubules are inside the testes, and that's where the sperm are made. What we're going to do is we're going to look at this picture, and we're going to notice something. There's a word in M circled in blue that you're supposed to remember. Meiosis. We're going to use meiosis to make our sperm. Please remind me from 112 that you remember what meiosis is for before I cry and kill myself. Make gametes, right? Meiosis make gametes. And let's see, how many cells did you make in meiosis? Total? Four cells. 4 daughter cells. And tell me about their DNA. They're haploid, or half the chromosome count.
Okay.
Does that all ring a bell vaguely from 112?
Yes.
Yes, I can change it. All right. So what's gonna happen in this picture is I'm gonna take a cell right here. You would call them mother cells in 112. You can call them stem cell. That's perfectly fine. Spermatogonium. I'm gonna make sperm is where they got the name. All right. And I'm gonna go through meiosis. You do 2 cycles, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, that you vaguely remember. And then if you look at the bottom of meiosis 2, how many things did I make? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's that N mean? Please tell me you remember N and 2 N.
It's a number of
So much information.
Number of chromosomes, right? So if you remember vaguely 112, you had 2N and you had N. 2N meant diploid, or 2 sets of chromosomes. N means haploid, or 1 set of chromosomes. So what this picture is trying to show you in a nutshell is that I'm making 4 cells, which is what the law requires for meiosis, And each cell has half the chromosomes or is haploid, or N. Everyone good to that? That's meiosis one more time. So I'm going to go through meiosis. I split twice to make 4 cells. Each one is haploid, and they grow a tail, and you call them a spermatid or a sperm, depending on how semantic you want to be. So here are my 4 sperm made from 1 cell. So my mother cell, or my gonium cell, or my stem cell, pick your word, is then going to make 4 sperm. Make sense? In my testes. Now we have to figure out when you start and when you stop this. That's going to contrast with females. When do males start making sperm?
Puberty?
Puberty is when we begin. So you begin at puberty, which for males is varied, but 14, 13,
I just read that they make 1,000 sperm a second.
roughly, yes.
That's
Not at puberty though. It takes a while to kind of get up to speed. But you make roughly, depending on who you want to talk to, men probably make about 10 million a day, give or take.
Can men ever make too much sperm?
Yeah.
Is
Anybody
that
kills.
a problem? I mean,
No, your body will just kill them. We'll go through that in a minute. Okay, so I start at puberty making all these haploid things. When do I stop? That's right.
Never.
Never. 6 feet under.
Oh my god.
So males basically start making sperm at puberty. Basically, we never turn off this process. It decreases slightly, but you stop at death. It happens every second. All day, all night, every minute of your existence, you're cranking out sperm by the gallons, right? Which is very different than females. When we do the female cycle, right, it's very, very different in terms of timing and all that. So for males, basically, you turn off puberty, you stop when you're in a casket, and you're doing this, right?
So really quick question,
Yes.
when you get a vasectomy,
Yes.
with all this sperm being made,
Yes.
it's just kind of boom, and there's no place for it to go.
Yes.
It dies and is reabsorbed?
Yes.
Okay.
So to your body, it'll still make them, and then you kill them off. Your white blood cells come in and basically chew them up.
Does it affect your hormones? Like with
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Your brain, which we'll do later today, we'll do the brain
Okay.
hormones. Yes?
Eventually with a vasectomy, doesn't your body like
males
start
with
giving
vasectomies to cut
output
them
of
off.
sperm though? Or-
Yes, the rate of production is slow. Right? But the body would still think, the body doesn't realize you had a vasectomy, the body just says, well, you're not having sex, so I'll just keep making sperm for when you do. So the brain doesn't realize that there's a reason for that. So here we have my sperm. They're coming in from my gonia cells or my sperm stem cells, or we call them, making them. Now I want you to focus on this picture for one more time. And notice there's a big word here, basement membrane, brown line. And in the other picture I just showed you, which is this one, sorry. They also talk about this basement membrane and have a line. So I want to know why there's a membrane there.
to protect his sperm
From what?
from chemicals.
Where?
Outside.
Come up
Ooh, go back to 112 again. When you make gametes of 4-celled and haploid, why are you doing meiosis? What's the point?
To make babies.
What about the chromosomes you pass on? Are they the same or are they different?
They're all
They're
different.
different. So these are genetically different. So go back to 232. You learn something about being different. What does the immune system do to things that are different? It kills them. So why do we have a membrane between my body and my testes?
So your body doesn't attack them.
So your bodies don't kill your own sperm. To your body, a sperm is an invader because it's not you anymore. It's half you. Remember that MHC stuff?
Yep.
That's the concept here. So in our testes, we're going to add a word to our testes thing. Just a word you're going to hear off and on. The testes contain a blood testis barrier. Where else did you have a barrier between blood and stuff? Brain, the same concept. You don't want blood contact with your testes because it just raises hell in them. Right? So you're going to have a blood testis barriers. Immunoprivilege, they call it. So you can make things that are different from you, sperm, and not have your immune system rip your testes apart. Worthless trivia, if you get a vasectomy and they don't do it right, you can violate that barrier.
Oh, wow.
Antibodies will enter your testes and begin to chew on them. Your scrotum will enlarge and get huge.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That was part of my presentation, you weren't supposed to say that.
Oh, was I sorry?
You just gave away my cheese.
Well, no, you didn't. I didn't show any gross pictures. Yes.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So what can happen is if a surgery or something or violates that barrier, the immune system can enter your testes, begin chewing it, and you get inflammation. So the testes get destroyed, the scrotum gets huge because your immune system's fighting off these. It's called something seal. I'm forgetting the word.
That's the doctor doesn't perform it correctly.
Right, that's not supposed to happen. But it's a side effect that could happen. I'm going to shut up because I guess I stole their point. I'm a bastard. Right. But basement membrane, keeping your testes and your sperm separate from the rest of the organs.
So during a vasectomy,
Yes.
you have to remain sexually inactive for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Afterwards, is it because the tube will reconnect essentially on its own?
No, that's just because they. Go back here. Oh my God. So they cut usually about up in here with my little hand. But there's still sperm in the tube in the highway. So unless you ejaculate them out, they'll die eventually. But the trick is that they cut off the sperm in this part of the highway, but you still have the Wilsonville part here. Fine, right? So you got to clean that pipe out to get all the sperm out. That's the idea. Yes, 4 or 5, some number, about a week or whatever. They'll die eventually in 2 weeks, but the idea is you just flush the pipe enough.
So what were you saying, that during the surgery, the blood actually gets past the barrier,
Right,
that
so
it causes infection because of
So what happens is, or what can happen is sports injury. Someone kicks you in the nards, right? You break through that barrier, and then your blood now can fall into your testes, doing its normal job, and then begin to chew stuff. So any violation of the blood-testis barrier causes sterility and damage to your testes, because now the immune system will attack them. Just Jewish trivia. But the point of that whole discussion is that these are genetically separate from you, so you have to keep them away from your immune system. Yes?
Can you please go up in this picture? So, the basement membrane, is that the,
That's right here.
okay.
So each of these is a tubule. The tubule is separate from the rest of the testis,
Oh, okay.
which is here. When you get to the lab, that's how you're going to identify testis. You look for that ring.
And then in the basement membrane though, that's where the blood testis barrier.
Right. So the membrane basically is the location of that barrier, or immunoprivileged barrier.
So is it because hormones are lipid-based, they can pass through that membrane?
Indeed. Perfect answer. Yes. So hormones can get through, but not cells. That's the point. Okay, and our testes making sperm.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to make sperm from puberty to death all the time. They get stored in my epididymis. They come on out. So now we got to figure out those gland things. Because we made the sperm. Now we got to get them out of there. So let's talk about male sexual performance. In a nice way. All right. All right. Let's talk about male orgasms for a second. For male. Believe it or not, there are 2 stages, like you really care, about male orgasm. So the first one is going to be called your emission stage. Okay, this has a meaning in biology. An emission means you add fluid to sperm. What things on your chart make fluids?
The seminal vessel.
All those 3 glands. So during the emission phase, you're going to start using those glands to add fluid to the sperm. So now we have to come up with some vocabulary. All right, so this little guy. What is that thing I'm trying to draw?
A sperm.
That's a sperm.
It's a happy sperm.
Of course he's happy. Okay, this is my attempt to draw fluid. Okay, so if you read in the book, Saladin calls this seminal fluid. Okay, so now on emission, I take fluid, add sperm, and now I'm going to make something like this. Is not anatomically correct, right? What do you call it when you put the 2 together? Semen or ejaculate. So there is a formal difference between the stuff that comes out and the stuff beforehand. It's sperm in your testes, it's fluid in the glands, it's semen when they're mixed together, or ejaculate would be another way to say it. So your testes does not make semen or fluid, it makes sperm. The prostate makes fluid, not sperm. You put the two together, you got semen.
And you still get fluid, ejaculate when...
Yes, you can still ejaculate fluid, but it wouldn't have sperm in it if you have a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Right? So, but formerly you wouldn't have semen, you'd have fluid. Right? So during the emission phase, we're going to take the fluids from our glands, mix them with the guys with tails, and make semen. So we have to go through those glands. Underneath your chart, there's a question about the glands and what they're for. So let's go through those glands again in order. What was the first gland in the pathway? Seminal vesicle. So it makes fluid, right? Now we have to figure out what's in the fluid. Sugars. Besides a bad punchline of a joke, why?
To provide energy for the
Energy to swim.
That does the glands.
energy for the sperm.
Yes, all three, yeah. So why is there sugar?
Make those sperm-
Energy for whom?
For sperm.
Sperm. Good old ATP. Remember
To get
glycolysis?
to the egg.
Get to the egg. So we're going to feed the sperm and give them some energy. Let's do some more. Buffers. Remind me what buffers are for.
To equal the acid. Regulate acid.
Control pH, right?
Because, or else it would kill the sperm.
That's right. The female vagina is acidic. That melts the sperm anyway, but hey, let's give them a chance. So we have some buffers, right? There's some other things. There's some vitamins for our sperm. Remind me from metabolism what vitamins are for. Like dehydrogenase, they're for enzymes. Hormones, which we'll talk about next week. So testes make sperm and hormones. Ovaries make girl egg, girl hormones. Same kind of concept. They're factories for hormones and eggs. No real difference. Are they inside or outside? Please tell me they're internal. We got to get to define it. That then leaves our fallopian tube. You cannot call fallopian tubes anymore because they want to call them uterine tubes.
Wouldn't they be ovarian tubes?
Don't argue with people that have ideologies, right?
Is it the same as the salpingo?
Yeah, salpingo is the formal name.
So
Call them a tube, I don't care. What's their job?
Highway.
Highway. I-5 for eggs. So if you get your tubes tied, that's what they're doing. They're cutting the highway so eggs can't get out. Are they inside or outside? They're inside, and I got you to find them. That leads us to uterus. Give me a function.
Babies.
Where babies live. Menstrual flow comes from site of pregnancy, implantation. Pick a word that means something to you. Is the uterus inside or outside? I hope it's inside. You don't want it outside, trust me. Then we're going to talk about your cervix. Okay, the cervix is not a different organ, although it's on your list. The cervix is a place on your uterus. So they're going to call it the cervical canal. You'll hear cervix, cervical neck. That's what it means, literally. So it's just there, that spot. So what's that spot for?
It dilates to birth the baby.
True. So how would you give that a function?
It's a muscle.
Indeed, it's a gatekeeper. Or you can argue a valve. It's not a valve, but you can view it as a valve.
It's a muscle, isn't it?
It's part of your uterine muscle, it is. Okay, so what do gatekeepers do?
keep things in.
Keep things in or keep things out. So
Like
the goal of this
bacteria?
is to regulate what's going in or out. Entrance or exit. To where? In or out of what? The uterus. This is what your body is trying to regulate, is what goes in and out of your uterus. That's a pretty important place. So, is the cervix inside or outside? Considered internal. Now I'm going to spend a little bit of time to figure out when this gate would open and when this gate would close. So let's do that.
Your
When do you think your cervix would open?
menstrual period.
Menstruation is one. Otherwise the blood would never come out. Another one? Ovulation. Otherwise the sperm would never get in. And?
Sex.
Birth.
Doesn't the cervix dilate during?
No, only if you ovulate. So sex, only if you're having sex when you ovulate, yes, that'd be true. But sex by itself will not change the cervix. So, So it's going to be open basically when I want blood to come out, sperm to come in, or babies to come out.
And is there like a time period on that, as far as like when people are trying to get pregnant? and
Yeah,
have
24
time
hours
after
per
ovulation?
28-day cycle.
It only stays open for that long?
Yes, roughly, give or take.
Did you say 24 hours?
Roughly 24 to 30 hours.
But
So when is
this,
it closed?
All the other times, the rest of
yeah.
All the other time.
But doesn't the sperm stay alive for 3 days?
That's
so
the problem.
you really,
Sperm don't die fast enough.
Yeah.
So they can't stay alive in the cervical crypts longer than 24 hours.
So this might be what she was asking. So during sex, if you have an increase in oxytocin, that causes uterine
Yes.
contractions. But you're saying that only happens if you ovulate, or
The
no?
cervix would stay closed even if you're having uterine contractions.
Okay.
The cervix, there's a different signal for the cervix. And that's basically the estrogen progesterone levels of the menstrual cycle.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll have a uterine contraction, that's true, and uterine dipping, but you won't necessarily have a cervical dilation.
Explain to me why the cervix is open during ovulation?
Because otherwise the sperm would never meet the egg.
Okay, so you don't mean that the egg is leaving the cervix, you mean that the sperm
Right.
okay.
Right, the sperm would be basically here, the egg's up there, someone's got to meet. So the idea is